I think I'll just finish with the introduction today. It's too long and reveals too much. And in the end, doing everything backwards is kind of in the theme of... Let's go!
Julian O'Doul, I imagine you will, especially as the spokesperson for the Rassemblement National, bring this up on absolutely every platform, on radio microphones and in front of television cameras.
So here we have the Rassemblement National spokesperson, Julian O'Doul, who is used to the media and who is welcomed almost everywhere with open arms. But not necessarily by rolling out the red carpet. The journalist doesn't have a duty of neutrality, only one of transparency. That's why we try to be transparent about who we support, especially if they support us in return. Here, he just appeared on the set of Sud Radio, a walk in the park, just like at home, 15 minutes without any obstacles, up to the microphone.
So, on radio, in front of television cameras, including on Morandini's set.
Morandini, convicted twice in 1 year for sexual harassment and corruption of minors. Hashtag pedophilia. It's not pretty. It feels like the tip of the iceberg. I'm not sure many people, even his friends, would let him watch their kids. But if I had kids, I'd trust him. I love visiting Gene Mark, and he taught me the Gene Mark game. Reference to the other Gene Mark, Jeff Anaclock's puppet, which you operate by inserting your arm.
Listen, it's, Jean-Marc Morandini and the CNews channel have once again wanted to continue this relationship, and it's a matter that concerns me. I'm not in the inner circle, and I'm not involved with the management of CNews. It's the channel's responsibility to keep or not one of its journalists, one of its presenters. That's not the National Rally's business.
He's right about that. Political parties and politicians shouldn't interfere in any media outlet's organization, especially if they're not in power. And here, in this case, we're not dealing with the ministers of justice, culture, or propaganda. But no!
But you, who especially emphasized setting an example, let's say respecting sanctions, he was still definitively convicted. As an elected official, is it really your job to appear on a show hosted by someone who's been convicted, given what we know?
When you stay silent, act like it's not your place to judge, or ignore it like it doesn't concern you. What do you mean, Mr. Jean?
The neighbor was beating his wife every day? Oh yeah, is that the noise we kept hearing? Well, I'm sorry, I didn't see anything. And my nagging wife who didn't tell me anything, just wait till I get my hands on her, I'm going to beat her up, huh? Where is she? Where is she? Come here.
On some level, even unconsciously, you think you could have been the criminal.
I could maybe understand not casting the first stone at a guy who embezzles money or takes a bribe.
We know those types, but here we're talking about pedophilia.
I feel like rich or powerful people don't live in the same world as us.
Ah, he was really a big pig, violent and a rapist. But well, I owe him a lot, you know? It's thanks to him that I was able to die so brilliantly on screen. No harm done! Either they're all rotten or they're all corrupt. There's a dimension that we don't know about.
It's true that a pedophile is more easily excused by their peers and those around them when they're an artist rather than a janitor.
The Epstein case, we wish it were just a conspiracy theory that it never happened. But no, we're slowly learning they all knew. It's shameful. Excellent.
Me, I observed because I have no difficulty condemning.
Am I the only one who thinks he's struggling a bit?
He's been stammering for 2 minutes now.
Listen, obviously without any comparison, of course, but where is Ornica? So here's a little list of conjunctions and adverbial phrases. I think the question probably wasn't on his notes. He should have used the Jordan Bardell technique.
Jordan, a nice guy. Who rarely says nonsense.
Jordan Bardell.
A certain number of facts. I have no difficulty supporting many victims of both sexual and sexist violence.
I'm not sure that Jean-Marc's victims feel supported when you agree with him point by point about the decadence of France in front of millions of viewers.
What I observe is that there's a lot being said about Jean-Marc Morandini's case. There's much less being said about certain other journalists, especially those on the left.
Here we go. It's happening. Yeah, but they did the same thing and didn't get as much detention. I also notice a lot is being said about Hitler and the Nazis. There's far less discussion about the communists and the 100 million deaths.
Certain journalists are being discussed less.
Are we making too much of a fuss about Jean-Marc Morandini?
I think some media outlets are out to get Jean-Marc Morandini.
No, but it's normal that some media want to go after him. What's not normal is that not all media want to go after him. And it's also not normal that each media outlet protects its own pedophiles. I think if a guy messes with kids, it would never occur to me to ask about his political orientation before, depending on that, maybe going after him. And yet that's where we are. Political leanings, ideological or financial connections seem to come before any morality or personal integrity. Well, I'm sorry, but that's not always the case. Remember the La France Insoumise candidate Pierre-Alain Cotigny, at the center of a pedophile ring involving the rape and torture of disabled children. Well, he was kicked out of La France Insoumise. Yeah, but in this case it was really disgusting. Hard to do otherwise. And the guy wasn't even elected. By force, too. But overall, they only throw one of their own under the bus if it's good for them electorally, before it causes too much controversy. Oh yeah, like Ludivine Daoudi, the Rassemblement National candidate who wore a Third Reich cap with a swastika. Yeah, that didn't actually fit the demonization category. So they kicked her out. What I mean is, every member of a party, no matter which one, knows the other members. And if they have any, they're perversions. And nobody does anything. So it's either because they share the same perversions or prioritize their own interests. For 50 years, Jack Lang has flaunted his behavior among the elite as proof. Back in the 70s, he was the first to step up to defend pedophiles. And just a few weeks ago, he was still president of the Arab World Institute. While all his close associates have always known that his frequent trips to Morocco weren't to learn the language. Maybe the idiot was taking teachers as young as 10 or 12. Every political party includes despicable people, or at best those who aren't truly upstanding. But it seemed acceptable to the group.
That's very inappropriate.
Are you going back to the set?
Once again, that's not the question.
Well, yes, that is the question. And the answer was simple. I will go back to those news shows because I don't lump the channel together and I don't condemn the other journalists to the same punishment. But I won't go on Morandini's show anymore because even if we have some ideological similarities, pedophilia will never be one of them. And I spit in his face. That's it. There are no nice pedophiles. There are no funny crooks. You don't kill a man who's down for a good cause.
This level
of interstellar double talk. When I told you it was hard to find usable Rassemblement National videos for my format, here he says nothing. I have to make use of what he should be saying.
Once again, I will go back on those news shows, of course.
Does power and money attract shady people, or do people become shady by being around them? I'm a bit afraid it's the first option, amplified by the second. It would be worth studying that. The prevalence of clusters in Parisian political, media, and bourgeois circles. Honestly, we can only trust someone who condemns embezzlement with the same firmness, no matter which side it's on. Who condemns all acts, pedophilic, anti-Semitic, racist, misogynistic, with the same fervor. From the moment our politicians wait to find out who committed a crime or an offense before deciding how to react and how strongly to condemn it or not, I think there's a problem. Honestly, I prefer when it's one of our activists who gets killed. We do pretend a bit. It's horrible, but it's good for our business. Yeah, the popularity rating. But when it's the opposite, let's say, we have to justify ourselves, we struggle, we have rough days. But hey, you have to tell yourself that no one died. Well, yes, but maybe it's too easy to just put all the blame on our leaders. Maybe those who support them without thinking are pushing them to lock themselves into this shitty role. I don't know if you get the idea I'm trying to express. Maybe my introduction will explain it best. Politics belongs to the world of ideas. But above all, it is embodied by men and women who represent them. If he were in my district, I could easily vote for Manuel Bompard to represent me. The guy is brilliant, stands his ground, and knows the topics he talks about. He mostly gets attacked for his looks, which is actually a good sign. But it's impossible for me to vote for the Logos. Stupid and violent, like Hercilia Soudet, a fool who, for example, fires one of her co-workers just to put her boyfriend in his place. Like Raphael Arnault, a second-rate idiot on the watch list who makes death threats. And the lying dumb dealer, Louis Boyard. Ah, now that's a good one. I could never want to be represented by people like them. For me, if you vote for a violent guy, a scammer, a thief, a rapist, it means you approve of that. So on one hand, you end up with the same kind of guy. Many members of parliament reportedly drink heavily at work. Maybe I voted for a good one. Just like if I voted for Rassemblement National, I wouldn't really see myself in the presidential election putting a ballot in for an empty shell who doesn't have what it takes. Otherwise, you must trust the puppet masters. And I don't really trust the puppet masters.
I'm fed up with her. She's a nice guy.
Who will tell me bullshit?
Politics belongs to the world of ideas. But above all, it is embodied by men and women who represent them. For me, ideas are essential, but we can't ignore those who represent them. And I saw that in my last video about Antoine Léaumont, the Nicotesmer. For a lot of people, it doesn't seem to be a problem. But we don't care about the nonsense that some of the more eccentric people in our party might say. We're not going to jeopardize our only chance to save France. Well, I don't think we don't care, do we? But there are still plenty of people who don't care and who will always find an excuse to forgive their own side for doing something that would have condemned them if it had been done by the opposition. We should, no matter the party, demand that those who represent our ideas live up to them. I think the environmentalists managed to do that. Their ideas are just complaints without substance, and their representatives aren't worth much. But organic. To those who think that only ideas matter and that we can turn a blind eye to those who represent them, maybe you're right, but I'm still going to ask you a question. This works with every party. You just need a little imagination. I just took the most obvious example. Second round of the presidential election. The candidate representing your party is Pierre-Alain Coutinho, the pedophile who raped and tortured disabled children without a shred of remorse. Opposite him, the one whose ideas you hate the most. Who do you vote for, or do you need to clean up first? If you make no demands, how can you expect them to meet any?
Paradoxical. Why are we taking the right?
Me, I say let's go, you know. Well, I've never been good at math. Oh, Gabriel Apolital, he's here. I'm outraged.
If you want another paradoxal, type on the keyboard. If you want another paradoxal,
Type on the... times are tough on YouTube, so a big thank you to those who play with the algorithm, and also to those who support me on Typee. See you very soon. Yes!
Singing I Made It Out.